If you are hearing this message right now, it's not by accident. There's a reason this found you, a reason your soul was guided to listen. Because what you're about to hear is the truth your heart has been trying to understand. You've been feeling it for a while now. That quiet ache in your chest, that unspoken sense that something is off. Your partner, the person you've loved, trusted, and opened your heart to, isn't treating you or your love with the seriousness it deserves. And though you've tried to explain it away, make excuses, or hold on to hope, deep down, you know something isn't right. But what's happening here is far more troubling than you might think. When you're not around, your partner escapes into a world that isn't real. It's a world they've built in their own mind, a world where everything feels easier, softer, more convenient. In that world, they don't have to face their actions. They don't have to feel guilty for what they've done. They don't have to answer for the ways they've hurt you. In this false reality, they get to live without consequences. They get to rewrite the truth, pretend that everything's fine, and silence the part of themselves that knows it isn't. They convince themselves that what they're doing isn't really hurting anyone, that their words, their distance, their silence are harmless. But this is the first lie they tell themselves, because it is hurting someone. It's hurting you. Their mind has built a fantasy, a dream where they're the hero of their own story. In this world, they don't have to admit their mistakes. They don't have to see your pain. They don't have to take responsibility. They can do whatever they want. Flirt, lie, hide, avoid, escape, and still tell themselves that they're a good person. It's the comfort of denial, the protection of self-deception. In this dream, they can imagine they're in control. They can pretend they're not lost. They can convince themselves that they're happy. But happiness built on illusion never lasts. It's like painting over a cracked wall. No matter how beautiful the color, the foundation is still broken underneath. Your partner is avoiding the truth because it's painful. They know that if they face it, they'll have to admit how deeply they failed to love you the way you deserve. They'll have to admit that their actions have consequences, that their carelessness, their selfishness, their avoidance of honesty has created a rift between you that can't be ignored. And that's something their ego cannot handle. So instead, they create this dream world, a place where they're always justified, where they can twist the narrative until they look like the victim. They might even tell other stories that make them sound innocent. They might downplay what they did. They might say, it wasn't that serious, or you misunderstood. But you didn't. You know what you felt. You know what happened. And you know how much it hurt. While they hide in fantasy, you're standing in the middle of truth. You feel everything they refuse to feel. You see the cracks they pretend don't exist. You hear the silence that says more than their words ever could. You're trying to hold the relationship together, while they're trying to hold their illusion together. You're fighting for something real, and they're running from it. It's a painful imbalance, because love cannot survive when one person is awake and the other refuses to wake up. Every time they talk to you, you can feel the shift in their energy. They smile, but it feels hollow. They speak, but it feels rehearsed. They promise, but it feels empty. That's because they're not showing you their truth anymore. They're showing you their mask. The mask they wear to keep the fantasy alive. The mask that says, I'm fine, when deep down they know they're not. They've lost touch with their own authenticity, and now they're trying to pull you into their illusion too. You might start doubting yourself. You might start asking, am I overreacting? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm expecting too much. No, you're not. You're simply recognizing that the love you're giving is not being matched with the same truth. You see, delusion is comforting, but it's also dangerous. It makes people believe that lies are love, that avoidance is peace, that silence is forgiveness. But real love can't breathe in denial. It suffocates under pretense. And that's what's happening now. They are suffocating your love under layers of self-deception. They think they're escaping pain, but what they're really escaping is growth, because growth requires truth. It requires responsibility. It requires humility. Without those, love becomes nothing more than fantasy, and fantasy can never sustain a soul. The reason they can't face you isn't because they don't care. It's because you represent the truth they can't accept. You're the mirror they're avoiding. You're the reflection of everything real, everything honest, everything unfiltered. And when they look at you, they see the version of themselves they've buried under guilt. They can't face your eyes because your eyes remind them of the promises they broke. They can't face your silence because your silence echoes their lies. They can't face your love because your love exposes their lack of it. So they retreat. They disappear. They withdraw into their illusion, a place where they can pretend you're the problem so they don't have to admit that they are. And that's why there's this distance now. The calls that don't come, the messages that sound cold, the energy that feels off. You can feel them pulling away, but you can't quite explain why. It's because they've built a wall of denial so high that even love can't climb it. But that wall isn't your fault. You didn't build it, they did. And until they tear it down, you'll always be reaching across an empty space where connection used to live. You're not crazy for wanting honesty. You're not too emotional for wanting effort. You're not too much for wanting to be seen. You're human. You're someone who values love that's grounded in truth. And that's something to be proud of. But here's the hard part. You can't fight for someone who refuses to fight for themselves. You can show them what real love looks like, but you can't make them choose it, because choosing truth requires courage, and they're still trapped in the comfort of illusion. Spiritually, this is more than just a relationship issue. It's a soul lesson. You were meant to meet this person, to learn the difference between love and illusion. They came into your life as a mirror, to show you where you give too much, where you lose yourself, where you mistake potential for commitment. And now, the universe is asking you to wake up, to stop chasing someone who's asleep. You've been living in reality, while they've been living in a dream. And it's not your job to wake them up. It's your job to keep living in truth. But here's what they don't realize. The fantasy doesn't last forever. Eventually, truth always returns. The lies begin to collapse under their own weight. The people they fooled start to see through the cracks. And when that happens, their illusion will crumble. They'll wake up surrounded by the wreckage of what they created. A world that's empty, relationships that feel meaningless, and a heart that finally understands what it lost. And when that moment comes, they'll remember you. They'll remember your patience, your presence, your truth. They'll realize that you were never the problem. You were the mirror of the truth they couldn't face. But don't wait for that day. Don't pause your life hoping they'll change. Your healing begins the moment you choose to stop waiting. You don't need their apology to move on. You don't need their explanation to find peace. You don't need their recognition to validate your worth. Your healing is your own, a sacred process between you and your higher self. Because while they were lost in illusion, you were being prepared for transformation. This pain you're feeling is not punishment, it's purification. It's the universe clearing the space in your heart for something real, something honest, something aligned with your soul. Illusion feels like passion without peace. Love feels like peace without fear. Illusion rushes in fast, but disappears when it's tested. Love grows slowly, but it stays when things get hard. Illusion speaks in promises. Love speaks in actions. Illusion needs to be chased. Love meets you halfway. You deserve the kind of love that stands on truth, not the kind that hides behind stories. It's not your job to rescue someone from their illusion. You are not their savior. You are their lesson. You were sent to remind them what real love feels like, but it's their responsibility to wake up and honor it. If they can't, then walking away isn't cruelty. It's clarity. Because real love requires two people who are both awake, both present, both honest. Anything less than that is a half love, and you were never meant for halves. And when you finally let go, something powerful will happen. You'll start to feel your energy returning. You'll stop overthinking what you did wrong and start realizing what you deserve. You'll notice the peace that comes from truth. You'll feel lighter. You'll breathe easier because you'll no longer be carrying the weight of someone else's denial. And in that peace, you'll start to see that your love was never wasted. It was planting seeds, not in them, but in you. Seeds of strength, seeds of self respect, seeds of wisdom that will guide your next chapter. And yes, one day they'll wake up. Maybe it'll be when they see you moving on. Maybe it'll be when they realize no illusion ever filled the void you once did. Maybe it'll be when they're alone and the silence finally forces them to feel. They'll remember your kindness, your laughter, your patience. And for the first time, they'll understand what they lost. But by then, you'll have already healed. You'll have already grown beyond the version of yourself that once waited. You'll be living in truth while they're just beginning to face it. And that's the divine justice of the universe. The message is clear. You cannot force someone to see truth, but you can refuse to live in lies. You cannot make them love you correctly, but you can love yourself enough to walk away from inconsistency. This is your moment of awakening. This is where your soul takes its power back. Every tear you've cried, every night you questioned your worth, was preparing you to stand in truth. You're not losing them. You're finding yourself. And that's the most sacred form of love there is. If this message resonates with your spirit, take a deep breath and affirm this right now. I release the illusion of love that doesn't honor me. I call back my energy from every fantasy built on lies. I choose truth, healing, and peace. I am ready for love that lives in reality. Let those words sink into your heart, because this is the beginning of your transformation. The universe never lets real love go to waste. What's meant for you will return, but when it does, you'll be wiser, stronger, and clearer than ever before. You'll recognize the difference between attention and affection, between comfort and commitment, between illusion and love, and you'll never again settle for someone who can't meet you in truth. Because once you've seen the difference, you can't unsee it. Once you've lived in reality, you can't go back to dreams. So hear this with your whole heart. You did not fail by loving them. You did not lose by caring. You did not break by being real. They failed by running. They lost by lying. They broke themselves by choosing fantasy over truth. But you are healing. You are awakening. You are rising. And the love that will come after this, it will be real. It will be grounded. It will be whole. Because you'll never again build your heart on sand. You'll build it on truth. So like this video and type I choose truth and healing in the comments below to claim your energy back. Your angels have seen your pain. They've watched you love with honesty while being met with illusion. And they want you to know your time of clarity has come. The fog is lifting. The lies are fading. And your soul is stepping into freedom. This is your season of awakening. Your season of peace. Your season of truth. You are ready. And the universe is proud of you.